Hello all and welcome to my latest video. We're going to show you how to make a modular game board for Gaslands. First of all, you need to grab yourself 2 yoga blocks, easily available online or in the sports shops. And then what you need to do is mark a square on top of it. So whatever the shortest diameter is, mark that across the longest and draw a line, thus making it square. And then the same half the side, as you can see with the line there, okay? Then with a sharp knife, very carefully cut down that line and then divide the square into 2 equal halves. Same again with a small rectangle on the end, and then very carefully again using a knife, cut them both diagonally, thus making the ramps for our game board. Easy peasy. So you get 2 ramps out of 1 yoga block. So 2 yoga blocks equals 4 ramps, or you can make them bigger. It's up to you. This is what it looks like. Oh, that's what they do on my board anyway. So it's a square and 2 of the triangular pieces to make the ramps. Now they're not too steep, so your cars shouldn't roll down them too much if you glue the wheels. Anyway, I'm going to cover it in sand later, so that will help. There we go. There's my 2 blocks chopped up to make the 4 corner ramps. Now, I'm not saying I did or I didn't use the family serrated knife, but if I did, I would have been really careful not to chop my fingers off. So do be careful with these. Use a craft knife or get some adult supervision to help if you're younger. Now, for making the boards, we use the classic old EVA jigsaw mats. Cut them down. These are 1.5 feet square. These side pieces are 2-inch thick diameter, which is the width of my ruler, which made it easier when cutting out. You then glue them around the edge. So for the time being, ignore that central disc because I use a different strut to support the box. Towards the end, there'll be a photo of that later in the video. So you do this 4 times, obviously. So you're going to make 3 more, or as many as more, depending on how big your board will be. This one is 3 foot square because that fits nicely on my dining table. You can use hot glue or contact stees, up to you. But like I said, repeat that 3 more times. Now it's time to add our yoga blocks. So I used a square here so everything's lined up, which will make it easier when we're putting these blocks together later on when it's all finished. So mark the edges where you're going to be gluing because I used some contact adhesive to begin with. So you need to know where to measure to slap the glue down. Just stick the glue down, follow the instructions, and then stick your blocks down. I then filled in some of the gaps with some hot glue as well, just to save on the cork landscape mix when we're building up the top layer. So fill them in as best you can, but you can use the cork later on. There's a nice little close-up look. And guess what, gang? You've guessed it. Repeat it 3 more times, and then you'll have something that looks glorious like this. So this is showing the modularity of these boards. So that's a big pile in the middle, big mound, big hill, whatever you want to call it. Looks like the old monster truck arena. There's the, I call this the castle. It's like the 4 corner turrets, towers. Yeah, that's what that one looks like. And this one I'm calling the football pitch. It looks like a goal at either end, but it's up to you. There's other configurations, but that's the 3 I'm showing you there. Now it's time to do the fake bit of road in the middle, which I used some Warbler because I had some left. There's my trusty heat gun. Ralph demonstrated what we're going to do with it because a hairdryer will not cut it on this one. You need a heat gun. So Warbler has a shiny gluey side and a rough textured side. You heat it up very carefully with the heat gun. This reacts the glue and softens the Warbler, which then allows you to stick it to the top of the EVA foam. Now you could use, have you seen people use sandpaper, cork to make a fake road? I'm using this Warbler because it's got a nice texture on the top and it sticks itself down. There we go. I've saved you all on this because this video went on for a very long while of me sticking it all down, trying to film it and glue it down one-handed, which was quite difficult. So here it is all stuck down. Cracked road, could have gone a bit further, but I didn't. But then eventually we will blend it all in with the top coat. Time to build the corners up now. So I've got these cork coasters lying about that I use for hobbying. So we're just going to break them up and then hot glue them carefully into the corners to build up the hills a little bit more, make them look like rocks. You don't have to do this. Repeat 3 more times as usual. And there we go. The boards are all ready to get the top coat slapped on. I've used a wire brush as well to score into the top of the foam just to help the cork glue sand mix, give it something to bite into. Okay, so we're probably halfway there, folks. So that's the build part done, and now comes the super messy bit. Now I haven't filmed this, but I have got a photo presentation for you which I will talk you through it. So using the old classic cork, sand, I've got some vermiculite in there, PVA glue and a bit of water, slap it all over the top and then let that dry depending how warm it is. I wanted to add some extra rocks, so I glued them on as well to make it more rocky, and then I sprayed it all with a red oxide rattle can and then began painting with usual cheapo craft acrylic paints, which was generally slapping it on, and then eventually I decided to get the better look, which ended up with wet blending slightly with then a bit of dry brushing with a sponge to create these colours and effects, and eventually you end up with something like this. So here we have the castle formation. That is the football pitch, and then we have the big monster truck mound in the middle. And after all that hard work, you end up with a game board that looks like this. So this is 3x3. It can be added to, obviously, because it's modular. You can build some rectangle pieces, make it longer. These are my homebrew start gates made from hair rollers. That's a dog poo bag, cardboard innards for oil drums. We've got pen grip for tyres. All sorts of tricks. So do check out my other videos and obviously my Instagram page, TK-EVA Minis, for the latest updates of what I'm building. Generally not playing because I'm too busy building. Oh, there's a nice car stack there. So get your Hot Wheels, get your paintbrushes, bag of sand, and let your imagination run wild. And you could end up with something as awesome as this. I know you can do it, because I can. So can you. So have a great day. Thanks for watching. I really love your support, and I'll see you real soon.